Hello, and welcome to Tuesday. I want to talk about an album, and I know we're talking about this one a week after the last, something we'll be seeing next week as well, hopefully. But I've been behind. Back when I was in um, Milwaukee and Chicago areas, I didn't really have time to write a review, so we ended up doing like 3 weeks apart instead of two, and we did that twice in a row, which leads us to here, which means I'm officially caught up if I release one next week, which I'm planning to do. Something special about this review, I don't have a physical copy. I don't have a physical copy of the one I'm reviewing next week either. At least that's the plan at the moment. I have the album in mind, I just haven't written it yet. But let's talk about this album, Mannequin Pussy's Patience. Now, I first heard about Mannequin Pussy back when I reviewed this album, Japanese Breakfast's Jubilee. And in the song Be Sweet, which is the most popular song off the record and the second on the project, it starred Marissa Missy. I'm DeBeast. It starred her as co-starred her along with Michelle Zauner, Japanese Breakfast's front woman. And when I saw that, I was like, "That is a wild, wild name for a band." Let's take a look at them. So I did, and turns out they're a punk band by every definition. Maybe even more hardcore than one of my favorites, Pup, which I don't have a record here because I reorganized that. But Patience came out, I believe, 2019, June 21st, 2019, and as a result, was met with critical acclaim, being one of the best punk albums that year, stated by multiple music outlets. So let's talk about it briefly. The album clocks in at like 25 minutes and 38 seconds, I believe, which is very short for an album, but this happens to be Mannequin Pussy's longest album. Some songs are over 4 minutes. I believe the longest is 4 minutes 28, while some are short at 38 seconds. What can you do? So let's talk about that. There are 10 tracks. First one, called Patience. It's loud in your face. It's punk music at its finest. It's very aggressive, but it revolves around, just laying in bed and letting your mind race. Insecurity became the best of you, and, being in a toxic relationship. Something we'll see in this album quite a bit. Patience is just a concept that the Marissa is using to regain, using that as a way to get your strength or reclaim it and power over everything. Her screaming on this song and this record is just amazing. You also see quite a bit of range because this album really goes back and forth between hardcore punk music, even verging on metal, back to calm indie pop, indie rock, which we see in the second song, Drunk 2. One of the quote-unquote summer anthems when it came out, and probably one of the band's most popular songs. It was a heartbreak song when it came out, and it's pretty much just drowning yourself in alcohol for after a breakup. Can't really say much about there. It's very bittersweet, and it's very soft-spoken. One of the lines that led me to review this album was the line, and everyone says to me, "Missy, you're so strong, but what if I don't? What if I don't want to be?" Really, really incredible line, but yeah, super, super dope. Well, so after that, third track called Cream. Like I said, it's very back and forth. So we got soft spoken, Cream, murderous punk music. Really muddy, just a lot of screaming. And I it's great. It's weird going like back and forth. I really like when albums kind of, you know, would. I'm not so sure if I like the back and forth, but like it's very interesting because nothing gets stale as that at that point. Like, sure, something can start high and like dip down a bit, or like start off slow, hit a peak, and things like that. But going back and forth really changes things up, and I kind of like it. I'm not so sure if it's my favorite way of doing that, but hey. Cream again, a lot of screaming. It's about yelling and berating yourself to be a better person. While you're currently in the worst place of your life. Next up, slowing things down again. Fear plus desire. It's about an abusive relationship. Not much else to say there. Drunk One, up next, is about loud. Well, compared to with previous track, this is just a loud and screaming song. It's just people going nuts on the instruments, which is great. And Missy is just describing a certain kind of woman who fits into certain kind of niche or certain kind of role, and she's yelling about how she wants to not be that kind of person. Uh, Slowing things down again. High Horse. It's a somber sounding track about toxic relationships. Not much else to say there. One of my favorite tracks on the album. Next though, Who You Are. It's about Missy speaking to either her younger self, which I really think is the case, or just a partner or somebody that she really cares about, and just being like, "Hey, don't conform to the world around you. Be yourself." Super super nice song. One of the best on here. But then we get to another screaming track, which is 38 seconds of yelling about where is my money. If you're not paying attention, you won't be able to understand anything, and that's punk at its finest. Closing out the album, we got two songs left. FUCAW. Apparently, this is a initialism or an acronym for inside joke for the band, so we will never know what it stands for. It's another headbanging song, and I couldn't really derive any meaning from it, so that's that. Closing out the album, In Love Again. It's very wholesome, I guess. It's about falling in love and trying to get that, experiencing that, and it's only getting better and better, and you want to hold on to the feeling as long as possible. It does end with like 2 minutes of instrumental, which is really cool. Something that happened on Japanese Breakfast's Jubilee, so it's really interesting seeing like, oh, this is like pure punk. What themes can I see in like an indie pop, indie rock song? Super super dope thing, and I gave this an 8 out of 10. I have the review open on my phone, which is what I've been referencing, but it's just wild, like seeing all these genres come together: punk, indie pop, indie rock. You really see the band's range here, and it's super super cool. Just a lot of, it's mostly about toxic relationships, and the album art of a globe being on fire kind of leans into that. Super loud, super in your face, but at times it's very subtle. You wouldn't even recognize the band if they sang Drunk 2 and then just hit you with, what was the 38 second screaming? Clams. Like, you could play half the songs on this record, say it's like, okay, this is like one album in its entirety, or it's years ago, and then play the more punk songs after and be like, okay, this is after the band just went insane. You wouldn't realize it's the same record, which is really really cool to see. But yeah, that's Patience, and it's a good one. It's a fun one, and we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, that's where I didn't call it for today. tune in next week around this time, maybe a day or two earlier, where we'll talk about one of my favorite albums growing up, and something I haven't really listened to in a while, but still so good. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow, and until then,